Let's talk about green eyeshadow. She can be a little intimidating, it can feel a little difficult, but green eyeshadow truly is beautiful. It complements so many eye colors, and it's really just about knowing what colors complement one another and how to blend everything together. So even though green inherently is a cool tone color, there is more cool tone greens and more warm tone greens. So today we're going to be using the Natasha Denona Retro Glam palette, and this is a perfect example of cool tone greens. Do you see how they're leaning a little bit more sage than they are yellowy warm tone greens? Warm tone greens are going to have more of that foresty, yellow, goldish undertones, where cool tone greens are gonna lean a little bit more bluish sage tone. So in this makeup tutorial, I'm gonna show you how to put a whole look together, what colors complement one another, also the rest of the makeup as far as the lip color, the blush, how to really pair something when it comes to colored eyeshadow and what tone that color is leaning towards. So today we're doing cool tone, so I'm gonna show you how to pair a blush and your lip with that kind of cool tone color story. I'm super excited to dive in, but before we do, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the little notification bell so you don't miss a video. I post every single day, and let me know down in the comment section any other colors you may be afraid to try that you want me to do a little tutorial for you on how to put a look together and how to feel less intimidated when it comes to doing color eyeshadow. Alright guys, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. Alright, so I filled my brows with my e.l.f. brow pencil in taupe as always. Then I went ahead and carved out my brows and primed my lids with my Anastasia Magic Touch Concealer, but I mixed in a little bit of the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Eye Primer. Especially when we're doing a smoky eye, we really want something that's going to grip that pigment to the lid. If you don't want to get something expensive like the Milk, the Revolution Prime and Lock Tinted Eyeshadow Primer is a great alternative, or even the Milani Eyeshadow Primer. Mix it right into your concealer, prep your eyelids, you're good to go. Then I went ahead and set this with the translucent powder, just so we have that nice layer of powder down, so all other powder eyeshadows that go on top blend out a lot easier, opposed to trying to do this on top of a wet base, which is gonna cling and it's gonna be a little bit more difficult to blend. So the first step we're gonna do is the transition shade, and when you're picking a shade with a green look, you wanna do something that's a little bit more of a light to medium tone. So right out of the gate, we have this one here, Fringe. We also have these more neutral colors like Lucy and Faye. And by neutral, I mean skin tone, flesh tone. And if you want to start with that kind of transition color, you want to ask yourself, is the green you're going to be using more cool or warm tone? Since these are all more cool tone, notice how these neutral transition shades in the tan family are more cool tone, opposed to a warm tone green you could really couple with a more warm tone neutral or even a yellow or an orange. But I'm gonna go in with a green transition color to really show you how that would work. So we're gonna start by going in with Sage right here. Oh, we still have the film on our mirror. Let's do a little ASMR moment. Oh god, that's so satisfying. So we're gonna start on a fluffy eyeshadow brush, but see how this one, the neck of it is pinched. That's perfect for the transition because you can really get it right in that socket. So we're gonna press it in this socket and do circular motions. And if you tilt your brush up, it's gonna give you a softer edge on top. Opposed to going like this, it's gonna make that top line very harsh. So we want to go in circular motions and buff this out all in the crease. Bring it all the way in because we are doing a more smoky eye. If you're not doing a smoky eye, keep this transition about on the outer half. And once you feel like there's nothing left on your brush, you can bring it in a little bit further if you'd like. And again, you guys know I always start with my eyes so I can be super just focused on the eyeshadow. I can bring things farther out this way and make a mess if I need to, just so you're not being super careful and worried about messing up your base if you start with your base first. So normally with a transition shade, now that there's nothing on my brush, I would take this and start to blend out and bring this up a little bit. We're not gonna do that. I'm gonna go ahead and dip into this lighter green shade called Fringe, and we are gonna use that to marry this transition shade and blend upwards into our highlighted brow bone. Since this is a lighter green, it's just gonna make this top border a little softer, a little bit less intense, and it's gonna add a little bit of dimension because we're adding in a little bit of a different green tone. So now that I have that first transition blended out, right up here, I want to blend a little bit more, so I'm not gonna keep using that brush. I'm gonna switch to a fluffier brush. Make sure the edge of that Fringe shade is as blended as possible. Now I'm gonna take the darkest green in the palette, which is the shade Evergreen, and we're gonna use this to deepen up our outer corner. So on the brush that I used to blend the very top using Fringe, I'm just gonna take this and really stamp this on the outside half of the eyelid to make sure we get super saturated color payoff. Switching back to that clean buffing brush, I'm just gonna make sure the edge of that is blended out. Now using my finger, I'm gonna take this medium green in the shade Oz, and we're gonna press this up against that darker green and a little bit on the middle of the eyelid, but not too far this way. Just like that. Now with the next lightest green in the palette, this shade Marlin, we're gonna bring that in a little bit further, so overlapping the darker green shimmer, but leaving the inside of the eyelid free. See that? See how we're getting that gradient blend now? And now with this beautiful champagne shade in Flutter, this we're gonna press on the very inside corner of the lid. And if you don't want to use your finger, you can go in on a little bit more of a domed brush, spray it with a little bit of setting spray, and press it on with that. Oh, look how pretty that is. So see how going darker on the outside and lighter on the inside really opens up the center of the eye and gives that natural contour and lift to the eye. It's the same as contouring the face. We want to darken up the outside half of the lid and we want to brighten up the inside half. And now I'm going to take a little bit of this brown in the shade Jazzy. A matte brown would be a little bit better for this, but it's fine to use a shimmer. I'm going to use this just to press along the outside half of the lash line, just to darken and deepen that up a little bit. You are going to do a little bit of a smoky eyeliner, so this step isn't imperative, but it's just going to add a little bit more dimension and depth to the outside half. See how that added a little bit more darkness out there? Now I'm gonna go ahead and clean up the edges with a makeup wipe. This is why I start with the eyes. Now I'm gonna go ahead and use a little bit of Scotch tape, and we are actually going to put this right on the outside corner of our lash line, because we're gonna use an eyeliner pencil to actually give a nice smoky effect. We're not going to use a liquid liner, and this is just going to make things so much easier. So I'm going in with a black eyeliner pencil. This one is from Natasha Moore, and I'm going to have the pencil handy that I used to smoke out that brown. And all we're going to do is deposit this on the outside half, almost like we're doing a faux wing, up against the lash line, only bringing it about halfway in. And I am going to bring it out a little bit like we're doing a wing liner. Go in with your brush and start smudging that eyeliner out. This is making sure we have no harsh eyeliner lines, and everything is gonna look super smoldering and smoky. And now when we go ahead and remove that tape, we almost gave ourselves a little bit of a faux wing with that pencil eyeliner. Oh, I love the way that looks. Now I'm gonna throw on a little bit of mascara and lashes. I'm gonna use the L'Oreal Unlimited Mascara. I've been loving this, as well as my complexion up to blush, and we'll take it from there. All right, it is time for blush. So I'm gonna be using the new Holiday Hourglass palette because it has a great representation of a warm tone blush and a cool tone blush. So when you're doing an eye look with color to it, you really just wanna compare the two colors to really see which one is going to complement what you're going for. As I'm sitting here, I'm not mad at the warm tone. God, I am so torn. I'm gonna start with the cool tone. So we're gonna go in with this cool tone blush here. Especially when you're doing a cool tone eyeshadow look like this, you're not gonna have a lot of color brought into the face by your eyeshadow, unlike a warm tone look. Especially a cool tone green eyeshadow like this. So the blush is really gonna do the heavy lifting of bringing that beautiful color back into the skin. Because right now, we really just have the top of the eyes done, our bronzer and contour, so we're very monochromatic. So see how this is really gonna bring things to life. So I'm gonna start bringing this back on the top of the cheekbone, marrying this in with our bronzer into the hairline. Oh, I mean, just, are you kidding? And this was the cool tone blush, but it's kind of pulling a little bit warmer because it's mixing with that bronzer and your natural tone. So I'm kind of happy we went with the cool. Gonna bring it in a little further on the apple of the cheek, punch it up a little more out here, really blending this in with our bronzer and contour. Look how stunning that is. And that cool tone pink just complements this green so beautifully. It's crazy. Now I'm gonna go ahead and dust away my bake there, which was sharpening up my contour, just to really get a better picture of how everything is coming together. I'm gonna take this brush, it has nothing on it but what I use to set my complexion, and I'm just running this over the blush to really make sure it's super blended, married into the skin, all the edges are super diffused. Okay, now we're gonna finish up the under eye, so I'm gonna take a little bit of my House Labs eyeliner in black. And because we're gonna do a smoky eye today, I'm just gonna run this in my waterline. And the reason I do the liner before the shadow underneath is because now, you know when you put eyeliner in your waterline, there can just be a little bit like maybe caught between the lashes. So now when we run the shadow underneath up against that lash line, it's also gonna simultaneously blend this eyeliner out where it may have gone a little bit too low. So now I'm gonna dip back into the shade Sage, and we are gonna start running this under the entire lower lash line. Really tap off the excess. Now with a fluffy brush that has nothing on it, I'm just using this to really buff out that edge of the green to make sure it meets the cheekbone here as blended and gradient as possible. Now on the same brush, we smoked out the brown on top and the liner. I'm dipping back into Jazzy, and we're only gonna run this really tight to the lashes on the outside half of the lower lash line. Now for a little pop of something special, I'm gonna dip into Palladium. I'm using a very, very pinched angled brush, and we are gonna press this right on the inner corner of the bottom lash line, fading into that darker. So see how that brightened things up a little bit and really blended it into the darker shadow. Now I'm gonna dip back into the shade Flutter to highlight the inner corner. Now for lips, whenever I'm doing green eyeshadow, unless it's a very warm green leaning, like where my transition was yellow or orange, fading into a very yellowy green shadow, when it's more cool tone like this, I like to keep the lip cool tone. It's just in the family, it doesn't stand out, and it just works a little bit better. So I'm gonna go in with the Anastasia Beverly Hills lip liner in Deep Taupe, and we're gonna start lining the lips with this. Okay, now I'm taking my finger and just buffing out the edges because I brought it in a little bit, especially on the corners. And now to introduce a little bit more pink into this and bring it to life, I'm going in with Matte Cream Sheen Lipstick in Cream Cup. This is a beautiful sheer pink, and we're gonna mainly concentrate this in the center. Oh, that is so pretty. That is it, guys. This is the final look. I'm so obsessed with the way this came out. I think it's so beautiful. This could totally translate to a beautiful holiday eye look. Green is so underrated. I hope this tutorial really helped you guys how to understand doing color in a wearable way that doesn't feel too dark and heavy and overwhelming. I super enjoyed doing this tutorial for you guys. Everything I used on my face will be down in the description box for you guys to check out. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up as well as subscribe to the channel. And most importantly, if you guys struggle with blending eyeshadow and eyeshadow in general is just a little difficult for you, where maybe introducing color is a little too advanced, I have a whole how to blend your eyeshadow like a pro video that I'll insert right now, so go ahead and check that out next. If you're interested in a 101 masterclass, what brushes to use, how to blend everything, even if you have hooded eyes. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Wherever you are, I hope you are happy, safe, and healthy. I love you, and I will see you on the next video. Bye, guys.